It's time for the annual Spread Your Wins and Fly draft. Me, Zach Berman, Fran Duffy, we're drafting the NFL over-unders and some Eagles news coming up next on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Thursday afternoon. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, Fran Duffy. A big show ahead as we prepare for the annual Spread Your Wins and Fly draft. But some Eagles news that we can unpack. Fran, first of all, how you doing?
Doing great. I'm excited. I've been waiting for this show for a long time, so I'm excited to dive into the Spread Your Wings and Fly draft.
We're very excited about that. But Zach, I know you want to get to the news. Let's get to the news. So Eagles have made a transaction. There's some injury news as well as the practice squad also continues to churn a little bit. What's going on?
Sure. Practice yesterday. James Bradberry injured lower body, and it's a 6 to 8 week injury, according to a league source, first reported by NFL Network. So James Bradberry now out for 2 months. It seems like the Eagles put him on IR. They promoted Oren Burks, the veteran linebacker, to the 53-man roster. They also added to their practice squad by bringing back Brett Toth.
Must have been a good visit yesterday from Toth.
Yeah, reacquainted with old friends.
Yeah, they must have seen what they needed to see there.
Reacquainted with some old friends. But the Bradberry news, I actually think it's bad for the Eagles, not from a football perspective, but if there was hopes of trading him, right? If
nobody was trading for him.
You never know, though. Someone gets hurt somewhere else. If Bradberry had had a little more good film, I don't know if he would get into games or not, but the possibility was out there that he could be traded. Now he's not going to be traded. This is good for James Bradberry. He's going to get paid. He was getting paid regardless.
No matter what.
He's getting paid
It's
regardless.
good for him that he got injured.
That's true. I'm sorry.
It's not a rookie trying to get a guaranteed year of a deal.
Yeah, I think that the
Eagles,
Eagles,
because they could have at least potentially gotten the offset of him getting the veteran minimum for somewhere else.
Eagles, yeah,
right,
yeah, for the Eagles.
That's
so that jumps out there. Oren Burks is someone who I know they liked this summer. They obviously liked him when they signed him, and I thought it was too much to have him on the 53 because then you keep six linebackers like we discussed the other day. I thought, and Bo and I were talking at interviews today, that it would probably make sense for the Eagles to bring in someone else. The practice squad's set. Like, no one's signing Oren Burks or Nick Gates off the practice squad at this point.
This is an opportunity to poach somebody from somewhere else, right? It's a little bit underwhelming to use it on Burks.
They chose not to. My guess is that they wanted to preserve a practice squad elevation. Right now, you can bring.
You're going to need to elevate either Toth or Gates or McMahon potentially as the game day backup center, right?
It sounds like Gates, but yes.
Yeah, I think so too. And then maybe somebody else for special teams, right? It's going to be E.J. Jenkins. They have to elevate too. So if they want Oren Burks to play special teams, week one, this makes sense. But that's still, I don't know. I mean, let's have a little fun. Let's bring in some new blood here. What are we doing?
I don't disagree.
I don't know.
I put that out there. I disagree.
A little underwhelming.
Howie's not taking our feedback.
Eagles also reportedly did put in a claim at the wire. Did you see that?
I did.
A corner.
I did. I have that actually up here. And I'm sorry, let me pull this up here. They put in a claim for Sam Womack, a former teammate actually of Quinyon Mitchell's.
Womack.
Nice. Brock.
The Eagles and the Chiefs put in a claim for him. The Colts came up with him. Now he had been with the Colts, right? Then he was with He signed with San Francisco, goes back to the Colts. He was with the Colts, right?
I believe so, yes. Yeah. He was an undersized corner out of Toledo. I didn't do like a full deep dive on him when he was coming out, but I kind of knew the skinny on him a little bit. But he was an undersized guy, found the ball a lot, but not a player that I've done a ton of pro work on since he's been in the league.
Good special teams player. That's the word on him. And then, so it shows you the Eagles are either looking for help in special teams or help in the slot, or just someone that they liked and they wanted to get him in the building. I am curious who would have been cut had he, because you have to put in people. I shouldn't say people don't know this. I don't know what people know or not. When you
Here
put
comes
in
more football splaining from Zach Berman.
when you put in a claim, you have to give the corresponding move then to the league, right? So that's why you can't just claim like 15 guys and hope one falls to you. You actually have to put in corresponding move for each
But
one.
I think you can do it like if this then that, right?
Yeah,
Like
presumably
like
so.
let's say you're willing to claim up to like 6 people for what would be 2 spots.
Sure.
Like you can do that. You can order that around.
Or, yes,
yeah, but yes.
But you
They had to put in. It has to be somebody. Yeah.
So I'm curious who would have been on the chopping block if it would have been Bradberry pre-injury or something to think about there. And then also I know people pay attention to jersey numbers.
Yes.
Quinyon Mitchell now in 27, his college number, last worn by Zach McPherson, famously worn by Malcolm Jenkins.
There you go. Last thing, Zach, we did had a couple of press conferences. We heard from all 3 of the Eagles' top receivers today: A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jahan Dotson. What did you learn?
Well, A.J. Brown wants you to know that Jahan Dotson wanted to work out with him. Like this wasn't like these were like 2 star wide receivers working out together. No, but A.J. Brown, he's excited. He says defenses
He's like,
are
I don't
always,
let anybody work out with me. So the fact that I let him tells you all you need to know.
Exactly. Defenses call out number 11. Number 11's in the slot. Number 11's here. So this is going to benefit Jahan Dotson to be able to play with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. That's one thing that came up. A.J. Brown is not prepared to leave his hotel room in Brazil. That also came up.
Like you said, a lot of don'ts. They had a meeting last night, and there's a lot of things that they're not allowed to do in Brazil, according to the coach.
Yes, and I said on the show yesterday, that I want to do my hits outside?
Yes.
And then I said on Anthony's show that I'm going to do my hits outside. AJ specifically said, don't have your cell phone outside. It's going to be snatched, I think. So
who knows more about Brazil than A.J. Brown?
Well, the origin of the question is that Tanner McKee said last year before the Kansas City game that A.J. Brown found out he spent time in Brazil and was peppering him with questions, wanted to know his Portuguese.
Can I ask you, Fran, about the third receiver in this offense? Because A.J. was talking about this and the idea that with so much attention obviously placed on A.J. and Devontae, and A.J. was talking about this, like most defenses don't have 3 good, guys who can cover in the secondary one-on-one. What is the opportunity like for Jahan Dotson, presuming that it's him? And have there been frustrations watching the offense over the past couple of years that they're not getting as much as they could out of a spot where there is ample opportunity to get open?
I don't think so. To answer the second part first, I don't think that there's been frustration watching them where I'm like, oh man, they really should have bypassed A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and got the ball to Quez Watkins.
Sure.
Right. So I think that still carries over to Jahan Dotson, and that's the good thing for Dotson.
But is part of that because that Quez Watkins wasn't making use of the opportunity that he had to beat a lesser player one-on-one?
Partly, but I think more so it's that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are blue chip players.
Yeah.
They're great players. So the more you can target them, the better. So to me, I
guess
think
one Mike Lombardi cameo, and all of a sudden he's talking about blue chip.
Well, to me, I think when you look at Dotson, though, this was a player that reportedly, from everybody you hear from, is that he lost confidence down in Washington. Obviously, the offseason did not go well. The numbers weren't great last year from a pure production standpoint. So having an opportunity to come in, not have to shoulder all the load, not have that responsibility of being the guy, and again, in terms of focal points of the offense, not just at wide receiver, but when you're looking at Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley, and Jalen Hurts is going to get his on the ground. You're going to mix in the running backs, all these other facets of the offense. Jahan Dotson's going to play a lot of football. He's going to play more than 50% of the snaps, most likely. And if he's not going to have to be the guy, I think that's very important for a young player looking to try and get his confidence back.
All right. You guys ready to rock?
Let's do this. Look forward to this.
All right. The Spread Your Wins and Fly draft. Now, we have all of the over-unders here, thanks to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Bet365, you can download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, and this is the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So thank you to them for not only sponsoring the episode, but giving us these over-unders. The order of operations here. This is a snake draft. The Eagles are not eligible. So there are 31 teams that we are going to draft. What we think individually, their chances are of going over or under their preseason win total. Fran, as the new guy, as the debutante, got to select when he what spot he wants, and he wants the 3-4 turn.
Yes.
Now, Zach is a defending champion, so he chose to go first.
Does it pain you to say that?
No, I think I've won plenty of these in my lifetime. It's not a big deal.
Of this game? I don't think this game in particular.
I won 2 years ago.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
We'll see.
I think we've done it 3 times, and I think it's been 1-1-1.
We did once with Shield, once with Deontay, and then Deontay Lee. Shout out to Deontay. Yeah. And then this year, now with Fran.
I think I won 2 years ago.
This should be easy enough. Daniz is going to be in studio tomorrow,
right? Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, remotely.
Remote. Yes. Okay. Well, I think Daniz, I'm sure, will have those records.
So 2 other little parts of the game to keep in mind here. The leftover team, that's going to be Julia's team. And Julia's going to get to decide over or under, and that'll be her team for the year. And then the very important thing that we have here is the challenge flag. So everybody gets 2 challenges. Yes. And so it has to be betting on the opposite of what somebody drafts. So when Zach goes first and he says he wants the Andy Reid over because the Chiefs always hit the over, and I say I think they're going to go under, I'm throwing my challenge flag, and I can use that. Everybody gets 2, and you have to use your challenges.
Yes.
You have to use your challenge.
You can't take him in the locker room. Yeah. You can't take him in the locker room. And Julia, just to let you know, Bo will bring this up just about every week, the result of the team. It's going to be fun to follow. No, like your specific team.
Julia's, yes. Yeah. We've had Marissa's Titans and Marissa's, I forget the other one.
To me, it's always Marissa's Titans.
It's always Marissa. The Titans will forever be
Titans are the team that's hard to gauge, yes.
All right, Zach, are you ready?
Yeah, this one's fairly obvious for everyone who has been a long-time viewer of the show. If you're new here, you know that in brand tradition, I always go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow, he's doing it.
I pick them to win the Super Bowl every year, and then Bo mocks me for it, and then they end up winning the Super Bowl every year. They are the number.
I think that's accurate.
The number is 11.5. Okay, that's a big number. Now, Kansas City's won at least 12 games in 5 of the 6 seasons with Patrick Mahomes as a starting quarterback. Last season was the exception. They were at 11-6. I think they got better this offseason. Now, they lost some players on defense, in particular L'Jarius Sneed. I think they added more speed at wide receiver. Xavier Worthy in the first round. Then when Hollywood Brown gets back, I really think that's going to help their passing game. They continue to make some fortifications on both sides of the ball. I really think Sneed's absence is a big one. Willie Gay they lost, but I love the Chiefs. I love their coaching staff. I love their quarterback. This is an easy over for me.
I think I would lean towards the over as well. The Chiefs, I always do. I always do the one bit of prep that I'm doing. Give me the good defenses from last year, top 10 DVOA defenses from last year that did not have a lot of takeaways. Chiefs, one of the 4 teams to qualify. So even though they were as good as they were on defense last year, still a little bit of upside, and I think we all expect the offense during the regular season to look a little bit better than it did last year. So, but it's still, it's a high number, but
it's a high number. But I feel like in all the range of outcomes, like the average outcome is that they win 12 games. So to me, I look at this offense and feel like they're going to be certainly one of the best in the league. So I would have leaned the over as well.
All right, there are 4 picks here that they're the ones that I love.
Okay,
so I'm hoping I can come out with like 3 of the 4. I'm trying to decide. Play the man, not the board. Which one is Fran likely to let come back to me? I'm gonna go, and call me too similar thinking to Shield if you want. I'm taking the Packers over 9.5. 9.5. I think the Packers have a real chance to compete to win the conference. I love Jordan Love. I love the continuity on offense, and give us a little Jeff Hafley scouting report. Fran.
So Jeff Hafley really kind of rose to prominence. He was Darrelle Revis's DB coach at Pitt. And went from there to being a DB coach in the league. Bounced
with
around.
Chip.
Yeah, with Chip Kelly out in San Francisco.
I want to make sure we know that.
Yeah, of course. Then went from there to Ohio State. Went from Ohio State to Boston College. Became their head coach. Known for an aggressive defense, attack, upfield, single high, a lot of man coverage. That remains to be seen in the NFL. We'll see if he decides that he's going to change a little bit because the college game is a little bit different. So he could decide that he wants to approach things a little differently. But I do think that the defense could be better than they were a year ago. I've watched a lot of Packers film the last couple of days. We'll talk in depth about that next week, obviously, but it's a good team. I like the over here.
Okay, you have the turn now.
Yes. I'm going to go with one of their rivals there in the NFC North. And I'm going to go – actually, I'm going to take two of their rivals in the NFC North here. I'm going to go – my first one, I'm going to go Vikings, 6.5. I'm going to go the over here.
You're taking the over. You're a big Darnold believer. Always have been.
Well, you know what it is that it's 6.5. This team won 7 games last year with the Cousins injury, new defense with Brian Flores, installing a new defense with less talent. I think they got better on both sides of the football this year. Look, the big thing, too, is that they were constantly shuffling out quarterbacks after the Cousins injury. You had Nick Mullins, you had Josh Dobbs, and they went back and forth there. For me, obviously Sam Darnold, I don't think that he's going to be a top 10 quarterback in football, but I think that if you can get some stability with him as a top 15, top 16, top 17 quarterback, they should be able to hit 7 wins. So I feel good about them hitting the over here.
There are 5 of these over-unders where, according to Bet365, the Vegas lean, the odds are pretty highly tilted, like it's 160 or minus 160 or greater.
Okay.
And the Minnesota over is one of those 5. So Vegas is on your side here.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with another NFC North team here, and I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. It's 10.5. This is a team that won 12 games a year ago. I'm going to take the over. They can do so many different things on offense. They can run the ball well. They can pass the ball well. Defensively, I think they're a little bit volatile, and you're hoping that they can get a little bit better on that side of the football. But one of the things that's just crazy about this team is that their first 14 games are indoors, and how that benefits Jared Goff and that offense. You look at Jared Goff's splits when he's playing inside versus outside in the elements, and they are stark. So for me, the Detroit Lions hitting the over at 10.5, I feel good about that one as well.
Would you say that they are the favorites in the NFC?
I might, because of I don't love the vibes around the 49ers right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you look at the Lions, to get that 1 seed, I would say right now for me going in, they would be in the pole position. Yeah.
All right.
Probably one of the more overused terms. I feel like I can't get that out of my head. The pole position. All camp. Yeah, everybody was saying the pole position. This happens every year in the draft, and it happens every year in training camp, where all writers and media personalities are saying the same phrases, and that phrase, the pole position, has popped up a lot.
No thoughts on that?
Nothing?
On the pole, I haven't used the pole position.
Okay.
I'm not a big horse racing guy, but
okay.
Does that surprise you? I was in the Smarty Jones. That was a good one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Smarty Jones was fun. I actually, so this is gonna sound. I mean, Joy is gonna be a little freaked out when I say this. Okay. Smarty Jones lost the last race, which is the Belmont. Okay.
Yes.
I was at Julia's graduation party when that race was going on. Do you remember that, Julia? No, she does not remember. I remember it. Yeah. Oh yeah. I watched that at Julia's graduation party.
What was the party like?
Well, it was great celebrating Julia, but it was a sad day in Philadelphia. I mean, Smarty Jones lost.
Wait, high school or college?
Oh, high school.
Yeah, high school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, how about your graduation party? What kind of fireworks did we have?
I didn't have a graduation party. That's right.
Okay. I think we can also. Is it okay if we discuss yesterday during the episode? You referenced just a generic time in which there might have been a weekend that you found out that a friend was hanging out with Julia and you didn't get to you didn't know about it, and then after the show you let it know that you had a very specific memory in mind.
Well, it was
Julia.
just,
do you remember? Do you want to?
I was just giving an example. That's all it was. I was, but I felt bad for invoking Julia's name without her permission there, right? But yeah, no, it was said in jest, but I do remember that. I mean, I have a good memory about things.
You have a very good memory.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. And I do. You know what? I was thinking about this during today's press conference. You're pulling out the nuggets of Jahan Dotson's been at Devontae's softball game, and there was another one with I don't remember if it was Devon. I can't even remember what I was that impressed me from the press conference today. Just the volume of encyclopedic Eagles knowledge you have going up there at all times, getting ready. It's very impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I take pride in showing genuine interest in these guys, and so if you care about people, then you remember things.
It's almost like
I don't know. It's not just I care about people, but I forget things. It's not just.
I mean, I take pride in like if there's someone who I haven't seen in like 8 years, I'll remember their kids' names. I'll remember just like something specific about them. I think it makes people feel good that sticks out. So you try to remember like a nugget about specific people you come across?
You have a nugget about me.
Donnell Ellerby. Donnell Ellerby.
Cheltenham High School.
It's true.
Donnell Ellerby.
Donnell Ellerby. Well, the Wolf's Den story is what comes to mind, right?
That was a good one, actually. Yeah. Okay, I'm up.
With Donnell Ellerby, it was I once chatted with him about Jameel McLean, who I went to Syracuse with, and is like a big time figure in the Ravens locker room.
Gotcha. Okay. So far we're all overs, and I'm gonna stick with another over, a team that I like. I've been pounding the Mike McDonald train for a while, and I like the Seahawks. I like Grubb. I think they've got pieces on offense if the offensive line can hold up. I think Geno is underrated. Give me the Seahawks over 7.5, and I feel pretty good about that.
Are you throwing your flag?
No, I had the over there too. And that was when I felt good. It was in my second tier of games or of picks here. So I think that you have scheme upgrades on both sides of the football. 7.5. I think that's very attainable for that team.
I will have them as a playoff team.
Yeah, I had under here. I'm not ready to throw my flag.
Okay.
I do like some of what Seattle does. I get worried about these loaded divisions, and I think that's a good division.
Sure.
Not great. I mean, there's better divisions, but so there has to be losses in there somewhere. Geno played decently last year, but I think he's probably the fourth quarterback in that division. Do you disagree?
You could sell me on he's the third.
You could, yeah, you could tell me that.
Okay. And who would be fourth? Purdy or
Kyler?
Or Kyler.
Yep.
Kyler. Okay. And then the last point there is that I pay a lot of attention to the line of scrimmage, and I don't love their offensive line.
Yeah.
But I think
that's reasonable.
I do think there's a coordinator up. Although I thought Shane Waldron did a good job last year, but I think Grubb. I really like this. I'll defer to Fran. I really like this offense in Washington, though.
No, the offense, like I said, I think it's an upgrade on both sides schematically. So I think that will be one of the more fun teams to watch. Certainly, I think a lot of the, to quote our friend Shield, the film Hipster Society, I think will be all about this team every Monday morning.
All right, Zach, why don't you give us one pick, and then we'll get to the ad reads before you take your second.
Yeah, so there's a lot of you guys are real into the overs right now, right?
Yeah. Well, as we do this exercise, you know that I'm a hater by nature, and so I have to. Yeah,
that surprised me. I thought you would come out firing with unders.
I have to take the overs that I like so that I can pound the unders for everybody.
Who would have thought that I would be the first one giving the under at pick 6? Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers under.
Wow.
And
you do this every year. You hate Tomlin.
No, that's actually not true. If you recall, I was high on Tomlin's coaching staff. And you mocked me on that. And I get it. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. I have great respect for them there. I like Russell Wilson more so than Kenny Pickett. I think there's a quarterback upgrade. I know there's a thought that Wilson might be shot. I don't view it that way. That said,
he's shot. I mean,
okay. Well, I don't view it that way. But this is the toughest schedule in the NFL based on Vegas wins losses, right? Based on odds, not based on the records last year. Yeah. But you look there. I think this is the toughest division in the NFL. I think that we'll get to Baltimore and Cincinnati and Cleveland. They have like 3 playoff caliber teams right there. I don't love the skill position players here. I was looking at their number 2 receiver. I think it's Calvin Austin.
Yep.
Right. They George Pickens, Calvin Austin, and Bo Wolf's their offensive coordinator. Who's Arthur Smith's been a good OC elsewhere, but. Yeah, I'm just not sold on this team, and
unbelievable.
I saw the Isaac Seumalo injury yesterday, not believed to be serious. Broderick Jones, their first round pick last year, they kind of don't have a position for him right now. I'm just not getting 10 wins. I know they only need 9 here, but I'm kind of leaning toward the under in Pittsburgh.
I think I would lean towards the under too. To be fair, you thinking about a flag?
I'm thinking about a flag.
Wow.
You know what? I'm going to throw it.
Wow.
I'm going to throw a flag here, only because Tomlin. This is one of the most remarkable streaks in the NFL right now, that he has not had a losing record. They won 10 games last year. I feel like you had to upgrade a quarterback, as you mentioned, upgraded offensive coordinator, a huge upgraded offensive coordinator by my estimation. So outside of the injuries that you mentioned, I agree there's going to be questions along the offensive line as well. I still think this defense is one of the better ones in football. I'm not as sold on the rest of that division being up to snuff. I still think that Pittsburgh's going to be able to steal some games in that division. So, I'll throw a challenge flag here.
Defense should be awesome, but I don't know. You believe in it a little more than I do.
Mike Tomlin.
Okay.
I don't want to be the guy betting against Mike Tomlin.
That's fair. But if you want to be the guy to bet
That's
against
fair.
Mike Tomlin,
You killed me when I praised this coaching staff, and now you're
look at the whole staff.
okay. All right, go on. Sorry, we have sponsors to get to.
You want to do the read? If you want to bet against Mike Tomlin, you can do it at Bet365. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide. They also live stream over 780,000 events each year with early payout offers across the NBA, NHL, NFL, and MLB. Bet365 pioneered live in-game betting, and today Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use the code PHLY365 to sign up, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Over to you, Fran.
Yeah, well, it's my favorite time of year because it's time for football as we are getting ready for the football season. But one of the things that might make this time of year not as fun, it's fall allergy season. And so when do fall allergies occur? They can occur as early as August, and they last well into November, so into the heart of football season. And what causes these fall allergies? Well, the main culprits are ragweed and mold. For those of you who are not up on your weeds, as well as our friend ZB here, other allergens include plants such as sagebrush, tumbleweed, and pigweed, dust mites, and even pet dander and fur. Now, allergic reactions occur when your body misidentifies a substance such as pollen as harmful to the body. And then your immune system, they release these histamines to fight off all of these allergens. Now, interestingly enough, these are the same histamines that also cause those allergy symptoms. So your runny nose, your itchy and watery eyes, or your wheezing and shortness of breath. That is why the antihistamines that you can pick up at your local Rite Aid, these are medications that help suppress the amount of histamines in your body, and they're often the first line of defense to treating your allergy symptoms. So what can you do? Well, you can go to Rite Aid, you sign up for Rite Aid Rewards. That can get emails at riteaid.com/rewards to receive email pollen alerts for your area. I can tell you that both my wife and my son suffer from these fall allergies. I'm out in the yard all the time, and I suffer as well from these fall allergies. So one of the things you can do to help yourself, well, if you are working outside like me every weekend, you want to make sure you try and wear a protective mask when gardening, because allergens do like to hang out in leaves and moist soil. So you should try and wear a protective mask if you do suffer from these seasonal allergies. You also want to be like Zach here, shower frequently. Multiple showers a day can help you clean your body out from all of these allergens that are hanging out in your area. Check your pollen counts. You can go on onto any app on your phone and check the pollen levels in your area. So all these things you can do to help prevent these allergies from affecting your body. But make sure you head on over to your local Rite Aid. Check out the app, as I mentioned. And look, if you're not getting enough relief, you can ask a Rite Aid pharmacist in your local store if a different type of allergy medication, like a decongestant, might be necessary. So get your allergy relief at Rite Aid.
All right, Zach, you're up.
I'll go with another under here. New York Giants, under 6.5.
Wow.
I think
anti-class all of a sudden. Wow. Come to Jesus on the way that they treat people.
Well, it has nothing to do with that. This is a football evaluation, right? So the New York Giants, we've been talking about it throughout the offseason with Hard Knocks. It seems like they're not sold on their quarterback, Daniel Jones. I don't love the offensive line, even though they made some theoretical upgrades this offseason.
Yep.
I like the Brian Burns acquisition. I don't think this is like a dynamic coaching staff. I don't think this is I just don't think they have a lot of talent. We all like Malik Neighbors coming out, but 6.5 is, that's not a big number, but I think this is a team that's closer to the number 1 pick next year than they are to the playoffs. So to me, they're like a 4 or 5 win team.
I Yeah, I can't. I mean, there's no way I can throw a flag on the Giants winning 7 games. I mean, just watching the way that organization was run on Hard Knocks was. I mean, I could believe anything about this team. They're run by jokers.
You see, they unretired the number after 95 years. Number one.
Now that is the one thing. Like I think Malik Neighbors rules. I think he is awesome, and I think like he is a good enough player that he could win like several games by himself and just on his own push them up to 8 wins. That's the only thing that I would be worried about from the Giants' perspective.
I had them as an over, but I didn't feel great about it. I do think, I mean, this is, again, with as bad as things were there last year, they won 6 games. And so I think that you'd say, all right, they're 1 game away from hitting the over here. I do think they're a little bit better. I think they upgraded at defensive coordinator. I think he'll bring some stability, Shane Bowen, on that side of the football. I think that offensive line should be marginally better, not significantly, but marginally better. If Daniel Jones is healthy, that's an upgrade over what they had last year. So I think when you're looking at it overall, and you mentioned the addition of Malik Neighbors, I did have them over, but not good enough that I would throw a challenge flag here.
All right, I have 2 picks, and there's one that I feel better of, but I'm going to take the other one because I'm a little bit more worried about you taking this one.
Okay.
And you already said a little bit of something about it, and the Niners at 11.5. It's just, I mean, we have seen how much the exhaustion of getting to the end of the season and not winning can come back to hurt you. Like, they've all been there now, and they still haven't won it, and everybody now wants their stuff. Like, you know, the Ayuk situation is still unsettled. Their offensive line looks like it's going to stink.
Well, the Trent Williams situation is unsettled. Yeah.
Right. But that one I expect to get settled.
Presumably.
The Ayuk one, I don't know. And then, you know, I think the defense takes a little bit of a step back as well. I feel pretty good about the Niners under 11.5. I feel like there's the makings of a down season coming.
I mean, they were a juggernaut for most of the season last year, and they still would have barely hit this. They were 12-5 a year ago.
Yeah.
Warren Sharp does a lot of work on like the rest advantage for teams, like how often do you play teams coming off the bye. The 49ers, they have the worst rest advantage in the NFL this year. They had that last year as well. I agree. I had them as an under, and I felt pretty good about them hitting the under.
Okay. I am as a slight over, but not enough to throw my challenge flag.
Okay. All right, Fran, you got 2.
Yeah, I'm going to go with an over to start and a big over for the Buffalo Bills, over 10.5. I think that this is a team that won 11 games last year. They lost 2 in overtime, which, all right, those go the other way. This is a much different situation. Obviously, they fired the offensive coordinator midseason. The turnover luck, I think that a lot of the turnovers that they had last year are a little bit fluky from that standpoint. So a lot of injuries on both sides of the football a year ago. I think they'll have a little bit more stability from that standpoint. That should regress back to the mean. So for me, the Buffalo Bills in that division, 10.5 wins, I felt good about it. I also, I'm just going to bet on Josh Allen. One of the best quarterbacks in the league, should get you to double-digit wins.
Now, this is one where Vegas, the heavy lean is on the under.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I would lean over as well.
Yep.
And like, it's going to be very interesting. The decisions they have made resource allocation wise, like that supporting cast of receivers is pretty underwhelming. You know, you're betting a lot on Keon Coleman making a jump as a rookie or Khalil Shakir like being a really like high volume guy. I don't know how that's going to work, but I trust that Josh Allen is the second best quarterback in football, and I think I'm going to bet on that guy to win 11 games.
Yeah, so this is one I felt strongly about, and then when I saw the Vegas odds, I kind of steered away from it because I'm like, what don't I know here? Since Sean McDermott's become the head coach in 2017, they've hit their over every season. This is a year this is a team that like people always are like, do they have this? Do they have that? 4 consecutive years with 11 plus wins. Josh Allen's won 10 plus games in every season as a full-time starter. I like this team. I hear what you're saying about the skill spots. I'll just say Dalton Kincaid. He's listed as a tight end. You can consider him almost like a wide receiver in terms of the way he plays. To me, it's like the Zach Ertz in the 2018-2019 Eagles. I mean, he can be like a 100-catch guy in terms of the way he plays.
All right, you got another pick, Fran.
I was expecting more of a rebuttal from you after that. After the Kincaid, you can almost consider him a wide receiver.
We got to keep going.
We can go long
because I agree with you on that. But I was expecting more from Bo there. I'll take my first under. The Raiders at 6.5. I just don't have a ton of faith in that organization to be able to hit the over there. I think that you go in. Antonio Pierce was the interim head coach. He gets promoted to full time. Sometimes that goes well. Sometimes that does not. Gardner Minshew named the starting quarterback, and even if he's not the full time starter, Aiden O'Connell, is he going to be able to lead this team to the brink of of 500 football? I don't think so. And so while they were able to finish strong last year and they got that momentum with the Antonio Pierce elevation, I don't see this team as a 7-8 win team. So for me, the under on 6.5, I felt good about.
For the record, they are one of the defenses that qualified as a good defense last year that did not get enough takeaways. I did not even, it wasn't in my mind at all that they were a top 10 defense last year. I guess that's the power of Max Crosby, right? But yeah, I mean, you can't be betting on, I'm not going to throw a challenge flag on, Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Too bad. All right, I'm getting all four of mine. I'm getting all four of the ones that I had circled. And this is the counterbalance to my Mike McDonald love. I'm taking the under on the Baltimore Ravens. Now, they have lost so much, staff-wise.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson has always had trouble staying healthy. They got to help. It felt like last year was the year that they got the positive luck that they had sort of been due. And now I think it's going to bounce back the other direction. It is a difficult division. I'm betting on the Ravens under 10.5.
Yeah, I mean, I had them over.
Zach's got it.
Yeah, I had them over, but I didn't feel great about it. So I can definitely see where you're going there. I do think that we are a little bit underselling what it meant in terms of the defensive brain drain. You lose the majority of that defensive coaching staff. It wasn't just McDonald, but two other guys. I mean, you lose Denard Wilson and you lose Anthony Weaver, both going on to be coordinators elsewhere. And so I do think there's something to be said for that. I mean, that's it. When Lamar Jackson plays, this team wins a lot of games. And so I think barring injury, I felt like they would hit the over there on 10.5. But that's just me. Not just me.
Zach throws his flag.
Challenge flag. Yeah, I'll give you your Mike McDonald, and I'll take my Zach Orr. Okay, Zach Orr is he's gonna lead this defense, but more importantly, Fran hit it on the head. When Lamar Jackson plays, they win games. You're looking at it like can they win 3 out of every 4 games? And I believe they can. I think now, granted, their history in this, they've gone under their win total in 3 of the last 4 years because they're kind of viewed each year as a heavyweight, but they should be viewed as a heavyweight. I love the roster. I think that the skill position players are going to be better this year. Zay Flowers going into another year. You typically don't get excited about a running back, and I'll get to running backs a little bit later. But I do think this is one of the teams where adding a running back does help, and I think Derrick Henry is going to be good here. They get Mark Andrews back, which is big for their passing game. I think they have some young players on defense who are ascending. So look, I know it's a tall task to say they're going to win, 11, 12 games, but I like betting on good players, like good quarterbacks. If I'm going over, I always feel worried about going on an over when I don't love the quarterback, and I love the quarterback.
Fair enough. Okay, you used your first challenge flag. Now you get 2 picks, but why don't you make one, and then we'll read our ads and then get to the rest.
Okay, I'm going to stay in the division here, and I'm clearly bullish about the division. I'm going over on Cincinnati, and so this is kind of the opposite of the Baltimore thing. Is that when you look at what they lost their running back. They lost Joe Mixon. I'm not so worried about that. They're getting a healthy Joe Burrow.
10.5, just for
yes. I'm sorry. I should have said that. You're correct. It's 10.5. They're getting a healthy Joe Burrow this year. They need to figure out the Jamar Chase situation. I don't know how happy T. Higgins is. I get that, but I love the quarterback. I like what they've done on the offensive line. They've made some additions there. So I like the over here.
I would have been with you on the over if the haircut with Joe Burrow didn't happen. The
You're
vibes
a football
there.
expert, and you're giving me the haircut.
The vibes not feel great with Joe Burrow. No,
vibes.
Where are we on his political leanings? Because he took the picture with Trump at the event, but then also was reportedly in the Guys for Harris Zoom.
Yeah, I think
apparently that was not true.
But then maybe he was.
Yeah, I think it's irrelevant to the context of the conversation of him as a quarterback. If I'm being completely honest with you.
Okay, let's weigh in the chat. This goes, do you think that Joe Burrow's political leanings are relevant to the conversation?
To me, like the offensive line looks average. The defense took a step back last year. Do we count on them being able to take the next step forward? I don't think that they drafted particularly well on that side of the football the last couple of years. They won 9 games a year ago, but you lose your offensive coordinator. The contract situations that you mentioned, there's I don't know. I just don't have a great feel on them. I did have them over Zach on mine, but I had them in the lowest tier in terms of feeling confident about that selection.
Yeah, I'm not ready to throw a flag.
Yes.
Because I do think Burrow's very good. But yeah, there's a lot up in the air. So we'll see how it goes. Don't sleep on Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh, good transition.
If you do, make sure you're not snoring. Because at Sleep Healthy PA, they are committed to helping Philadelphia residents stop the snore and find solutions for sleep apnea that will allow you to rest well and improve your health. What do you think causes sleep apnea? Well, it's kinky, but not in the way that you're thinking. What happens is there's a kink, kind of like in a garden hose. That's a choke point in your throat that causes snoring. And Dr. Andrew Cohen, who is a board-certified expert in dental sleep medicine, he and his staff will work one-on-one with you to provide first-class care that will meet your needs. Many physicians are not equipped to provide other options outside of CPAP machines. And if you are tired of a CPAP machine that is cumbersome and, just unwieldy around your bedroom and you got to strap that thing on, well, go check out Dr. Andrew Cohen. He's based in Jenkintown. He's worked for years to educate dentists across the country on his personal approach to helping those with sleep apnea. And his team is committed to stopping the snore. Tell him PHLY sent you and receive 15% off your initial workup. There's a 2-hour initial exam split into 2 sessions, the information gathering and the reviewing of results and sharing of recommendations. If you need to solve this problem, Dr. Andrew Cohen can help you do it. If you are experiencing sleep apnea and are looking for a custom solution to stop the snore, reach out to Dr. Andrew Cohen at sleephealthypa.com or call 215-337-2501. Tell him PHLY sent you.
Next week in Brazil, I might take AJ Brown's advice and not leave the hotel, or maybe I'll venture out and enjoy a cocktail, a Caipirinha.
Caipirinha.
I don't know.
Somehow worse the second time.
I'll say that on the menu. Give me that on the menu. But I don't know, the alcohol content in it or whatnot. So you might need to prepare yourself. And to prepare myself, I'm going with the Z-Biotics. Okay, it's a game-changing product that you can use before a night out with drinks. It's called Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Let's face it, after a night with drinks, you don't bounce back the next day like you used to, unless you're Bo. You have a choice. You can either have a great night or a great next day. And I got to tell you, I always prefer a great next day to a great night. That might surprise some of you. That is until I found Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Let me tell you, it's a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking. It's with Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. There's nothing better than waking up at 5 a.m. feeling nice and fresh, and that's from Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered prebiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough morning after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Vacations, weddings, birthdays, and reunions, or trips to Brazil. There's so much going on. Get the most out of your summer plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol. Now go to zbiotics.com/PHLY Eagles to get 15% off your first order when you use PHLY Eagles at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/PHLY Eagles and use the code PHLY Eagles at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times.
All right, ZB, you are back on the board for the turn in the 5th round.
Back on the board for the turn in the 5th round. And you can say, which way do you go here? Because there's a number of appealing options. I'm surprised by some of these overs that are still there. And you know what I am going to do here? And now, you see, there's one that I like, but I'm afraid that I can use a challenge flag on it because we might have a difference of opinion there. So what I will do is go with the Under on the Tennessee Titans. Okay.
Oh, interesting. 6.5.
6.5 is the under on the Tennessee Titans. And look, maybe the Titans surprised. They did make some good moves on defense. L'Jarius Sneed, Ernest Jones, Kenneth Murray, Denard Wilson. They paid a lot of money for Calvin Ridley. They brought in Tony Pollard. They got your boy Tajay Spears running there. But
I think the biggest addition they have is Bill Callahan coaching the offensive line.
That too.
And they won 6 games last year, so they only need to be 1 game better to hit this.
Yeah. But I'm going with the under here just because I'm trying to find the unders, and I'm betting against Will Levis.
Yeah, I don't believe in Will Levis.
Okay.
But I do. I kind of like the over here. I'm debating a flag.
I had the over. I didn't feel great about it. Not good enough to throw a flag.
Yeah, I can't do it. All right, good pick. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm gonna take one of the popular teams that people have high hopes for. I believe in it. They have the most handsome coach in football.
Yeah.
How could you not believe it? I mean, the weapons that C.J. Stroud has around him. I'm willing to believe that in a division that should not be that good, they can rack up wins. Go over 9.5. Give me the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I had them as an over as well, and they were in that top tier for me at this point in the game. So I think when you look at Houston, this looks like a double-digit win team. You expect C.J. Stroud to take that next step. You get the additions on offense. They didn't have a ton of draft capital going in, but I think that they were able to supplement on this roster pretty well this offseason. So I agree. I would have hit the over as well.
Are you a believer in C.J. Stroud?
It's tough not to be with everything that we've seen both on and off the field. I mean, the vibes are outstanding with C.J. Stroud off the field.
Fit in well here.
The film is outstanding. It's really, really impressive for such a young player.
Zach, on the other hand, he's got the Devontae Parker, Will Grier level of like really, really hates the guy. C.J. Stroud's a little bit below that. He really is anti C.J. Stroud.
Why?
I don't know where that's coming from. I'm not anti C.J. Stroud at all. No, sometimes there's like the second year that there's after the guy takes the league by storm. There's like the take a step back year. Now I believe in their roster. I like some of the moves they made. I love Will Anderson coming around the edge. I think he's going to continue to get better.
Danielle Hunter there now.
Danielle Hunter there. Yeah, this is a good over. I probably should have gone with them over the Titans.
I normally would agree with you with like the second year, like he's going to regress back. I just feel like a lot of the areas where C.J. Stroud was really good last year, I feel like are sticky year to year. I feel like a lot of that is easily translatable moving forward.
And I do not think you can overstate the advantage of the opposing team on the field being distracted by how good looking D'Amico Ryans is on the other sideline, because the Texans guys, I mean, they're a little bit used to it. They're a little bit nerd to it. But when you get out there and you see him, I mean, that's got to keep how could you keep your eyes where they're supposed to be?
It's a good point.
See a lot, see a little.
Well, let's go with, that was you.
Well, I was just going to say, do you know who called C.J. Stroud being that good? Who knew all along he was going to be that good?
You have very famously said you would take Jalen Hurts over C.J. Stroud.
I was saying Michael Rubin was all over the C.J. Stroud bandwagon like early on.
He says.
Just saying. So
and by the way,
Michael Rubin are
thanks for bringing it up.
You opened the door.
Because you know how Fanatics has their own sportsbook deal going on now. Do you think there's anything nefarious? You don't think?
No. I'm saying we're not.
We don't think we should talk about this
on yourself.
Okay, go on.
No, go ahead. Tell me.
No, I'll message you about it. I'll message you.
I'm just saying, if this guy who curries favor with all the most important athletes in the world, at least in the country, like he can't, hey, listen, maybe don't score all those points that you need to score tomorrow night, and we can, we'll make it whole. Like, I don't know. They shouldn't be in bed together.
I just texted you.
I mean, I said what I said.
Okay.
That's good. This is good behind the show.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm disparaging a different one. Yeah.
I was saying the sports book we love talking about here is Bet365, which is where we got our
because Bet365 is on the up and up.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think that this Michael Rubin thing, we can't be letting him do that.
Yeah,
this guy who's like best friends with all these people, give me a break.
All I know about is Bet365, so. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So for me, I'll take my next pick. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the NFC South. I would say the worst division in football going into the 2024 season. I'm going to take the over for the Atlanta Falcons. It's at 9.5. It's a little hefty for me as a double-digit win team. That said, I mean, Desmond Ridder was the quarterback for this team. Arthur Smith was the head coach for this team last year, and they went to 7 wins. I think it's a scheme upgrade on both sides of the football. I'm a fan of Raheem Morris. I think Kirk Cousins, to go from Desmond Ridder to Kirk Cousins, to me, is a huge, huge jump for that entire team. So for me, I'm going to take the over. Talking about some of the other teams in that division, I just feel like this team should be good for 10 wins. You want to.
I think everything you said is right, but it's Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, there you go.
Throw my flag. Yeah, I got it. I mean, happy to bet against Kirk Cousins. I mean, 10 wins, Kirk Cousins wins the division is actually the most Kirk Cousins thing possible. But yeah, I'll do it.
If you're looking for a little fantasy football nugget out there, Kyle Pitts. Okay? Pay attention to Kyle Pitts. Abington's own.
I thought you were going to tell everyone to draft Bijan Robinson.
No, well.
The thing about Kyle Pitts is he's really more of a wide receiver.
Well, he'd be good at everything, right? I mean, he was really good as a rookie. He's dealt with some injury things. Now he gets his quarterback upgrade. I mean, look what T.J. Hawkinson did when he went to Kirk Cousins. Now Kyle Pitts gets that. Like, there's a reason Kyle Pitts gave that, or no, he didn't give the number, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins changed his number out of respect to Kyle Pitts.
Okay. You get to go again, Fran.
Yes. I don't know how you guys did this, but I went through all 32 teams, so I guess 31 teams in the beginning of the exercise and just went, what's my gut saying? Yes. All right, over, under. And then go back and let me just do a deeper dive. The one that I felt so good about, this is an easy over, was the Indianapolis Colts at 8.5 wins. And then when I went back and did more info and did more deep dive, I was like, I don't know if I feel as good about this. Let me bump this down a couple tiers. I am going to go with my gut, and I'm going to take the Colts at 8.5. They went 9-8. Yes, over. Yes, I'm going to take the over on the Colts to win 9 games. But I mean, they did that last year with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. I know that they had some luck go their way, and so with certain turnover metrics and things like that. I know that the godfather of DVOA, Aaron Schatz, who you guys had on the show a few weeks ago, he thinks the Colts are prime for a downswing. So it's things like that where I was like, maybe I don't feel as good about it, but my gut said the over for the Colts, and I'm going to stick with it. Challenge flag.
Look, I hear what you're saying, and I like Anthony Richardson more than Gardner Minshew, and I think they're well coached. They were 6-3, I believe, in one-score games last year. That always concerns me because there's a little bit of luck involved there. You wonder if there's some regression. I don't love their talent on defense, and I look at this now. The division is forgiving here, but I can see this as a team that takes a step back this season.
I have a lot of belief in Shane Steichen, personally, as a offensive designer, as a play caller. So that was one of the things that
I thought it was the Eagles' worst coordinator on the Super Bowl roster.
Did not say that.
But did you feel that way? Even if you didn't say it.
Say that.
I mean, I like Michael Clay, but I would probably say Michael Clay was the worst coordinator on the Super Bowl roster.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I like the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, the Anthony Richardson experience is such a wide range of outcomes that I don't feel super strongly either way. One thing I do feel strongly about, the Saints are going to stink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their offensive line stinks. Their quarterback is old. Their weapons are old. Their defense is also old and due to regress. I know that the division stinks. I know that Aaron Schatz likes the Saints. I'm betting against it. Give me the Saints under 7.5.
It was part of the reason why I felt good about the Falcons, because I was looking around at this division. I felt like, all right, I don't feel good about the Saints hitting. I don't feel good about some of these other teams hitting. So to me, that was what helped boost my confidence in the Falcons hitting the over.
Yeah, this is one where I would have picked them earlier for the under, except the Vegas odds worried me here because is there something I don't know? But then I look at it. Dennis Allen, every year he's been a head coach, his team has gone under the wins-loss projection, right?
He's like,
terrible. I think it's like the opposite of getting the schematic advantage.
Yeah, okay. All right, Zach, give us one more pick, and then we'll run down where everybody stands.
Okay, my one more pick. Sorry, I had this on the tip of my tongue here. Okay, I imagine there might be a challenge flag thrown from you guys, but
I've only got one left.
We'll see,
I'm going to go Arizona Cardinals, I'm going over 6.5.
Okay. One of the big Vegas leans.
Yeah, look, there's a major quarterback upgrade this year. Kyler Murray wasn't healthy last year. He's healthy this year. My number one. Now we have the draft expert here. I'll defer to Fran on all draft matters from here on out. but Marvin Harrison was the number 1 guy on my board last year. I think he was the best player in the draft. And
second best receiver on that team.
Michael Wilson? Greg Dortch?
Greg Dortch.
Okay. I thought there was a little Michael Wilson love there.
Go Deeks.
Yeah, I like now there are some questions there on both lines of scrimmage, which does worry me. Okay, they're moving
Big
Paris
fella
Johnson
inside.
over to the left side.
I like it.
Jonathan Gannon said yesterday. Jonathan's not worried about the edge rushers now. You might be. Like he said, you guys, the media might be.
Sure.
But he's
he
not
also
worried
said
about
there was a guy that is going to be part of the team forever, and then they cut him the next day.
Yeah, he has a habit of doing that. But I think, like I said, I like to go over some quarterbacks that I like, and I like Kyler Murray, and so I don't think a healthy Kyler Murray is a 6-win quarterback.
Okay. I'm not throwing my flag.
Okay. I had them as the under, but I had them on the lowest tier in terms of confidence. So I'm not going to throw the flag on this one either. That division's tough. That's to me. You look at the 49ers. I think Bo and I like the Seahawks more than you do, as we discussed earlier, and then the Rams. So that's a tough division for 7 wins for that team. It's that was a tough sell for me.
All right, so let's flash up where we stand as we approach the hour mark. Zach's roster: the Chiefs over 11.5, the Steelers under 8.5, the Giants under 6.5, the Bengals over 10.5, Titans under 6.5, the Cardinals over 6.5, and he's thrown his challenge flags on the Ravens over 10.5 and the Colts under 8.5. I have the Packers over 9.5, the Seahawks over 7.5, the Niners under 11.5, the Ravens under 10.5, the Texans over 9.5, the Saints under 7.5, and I've thrown one challenge flag on the Falcons under 9.5. And Fran has the Vikings over 6.5, the Lions over 10.5, the Bills over 10.5, the Raiders under 6.5, the Falcons over 9.5, the Colts over 8.5, and he's thrown his flag on the Steelers over 8.5. Still on the board, the Panthers 5.5, the Bears 8.5, the Browns 8.5, the Cowboys 10.5, the Broncos 5.5, the Jaguars 8.5, the Chargers 8.5, the Rams 8.5, the Dolphins 9.5, the Patriots a lowly 4.5, the Jets 9.5, the Bucks 7.5, and the Commanders 6.5. Zach, it is your pick.
Okay, we got to get rolling here, huh?
Yeah,
We're
you're
already
on
at 3 o'clock. Jacksonville Jaguars, I will go over 8.5. I don't love that division. I think I like the quarterback. I like the head coach. I think even though they lost Calvin Ridley, you add Brian Thomas, you add Gabe Davis. They kept Josh Allen on defense. That was important. They kept Tyson Campbell, a guy who I liked back in the draft. So I'm going Jacksonville over.
My biggest takeaway from the Mike Sando piece, the quarterback tier, was how the drop for Trevor Lawrence. And we don't need to we have to speed through some of these, but for me, that is something certainly to watch here. Is can Trevor Lawrence overcome some of the turnover woes that have plagued him, certainly over the last year?
I'm going to stick in the NFC South because I'm betting against the Falcons and the Saints. I'm taking the Bucks over 7.5. I think 7. I mean, this is a team that won 10 games last year, 9-10 games last year, and I don't think they should be too much worse. I know Baker Mayfield is not that good, and they lost the philanderer. Nice job on the story from Zach Kiefer, but I'm taking the Bucks over 7.5.
I think it's the loyal. He's loyal now, right? Or so you think. Is that what you're about to say?
No. You're right. You're throwing it?
Yeah, I'm going to throw the flag. I actually have them as I have them as an under here. I think this is a team that is primed for a little bit of a setback. I think that you lose Dave Canales. I'm a fan of Dave Canales. Schematically, I think that he did everything to raise the floor and the ceiling of that team a year ago. I think there was a ton of Baker Mayfield magic a year ago that I don't think will be present this year. What they did on third down, I don't think that's going to be replicable. So I think Liam Cohen, I think there's been some buzz there, but I mean, Sean McVay moved on from him and got kind of clear the deck on that staff in LA a couple years ago, and he was part of that. So for me, I would take the under here on the Bucks.
Okay, now you get 2 more picks. And by the way, thank you for being a diehard. You should be a diehard.
Yes.
We got a very exciting big project that's dropping next week. That's going to be exclusively for diehards. Little season preview. That's going to have a lot of fun stuff in it. So we look forward to getting that in front of you, and you can only see it if you're a diehard. All right, go ahead, Fran.
All right, I'm going to go LA Rams. I just mentioned Sean McVay and the Rams at 8.5. They were 10-7 last year with the Cooper Kupp injury. Now, obviously, you lose Aaron Donald. You have a new defensive coordinator, but I do like the LA Rams on the over there for 8.5.
Yeah, that was on my list as one of the next picks. I think that's a good pick.
No flag here. I'm actually leading in flags
right.
thrown on me, by the way. I've had 3 flags there, so I think it's just if you use your last flag, that'll be
there you go.
A clean sweep. I'm going to bet on Sean Payton here. 5.5 seems really low. Really low. I mean, they won 8 games last year. How is this team 3 games worse than they were a year ago? I mean, to go from Russell Wilson to a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, sure, but I think obviously Wilson is on the downswing, and it didn't seem like Sean Payton had a lot of juice for working with Russell Wilson. I think that defense is marginally better than they were a year ago. So give me the over on 5.5. There's just a really low number there on the Denver
so
Broncos.
Low. I would have leaned that way too. But, I mean, I also think that Bo Nix is going to stink.
I'm a Bo Nix guy, so I've got some faith
anytime
there.
you can get the 6th quarterback in the draft, you got to do it.
Oh, because that is shown to be a precursor for future success.
I thought there would be a little
Yeah, he spells it the right way.
He spelled it the right way, yeah.
He does spell it the right way. I mean, he throws the ball like 4 yards.
No, he's good. I think Bo Nix will be
Sean
pretty
Payton
good.
saw 18 throws at the pro day and said, "That's my guy."
That's it. Just like Sam Bradford. Okay, I'm gonna go with a weird one here, and this is one where the odds. I think everybody this could be the worst team in football. They've got the lowest over under, but I think the defense is good.
Yeah, yep.
I think the offensive line is maybe the worst I've ever seen in a practice.
Yeah.
But I like Drake May. I know that he's not the quarterback right away, but I think they can win 6 games with the defense that should be really good. They're one of those defenses that's due for some positive takeaway regression. I'm taking the Patriots over 4.5.
4.5 is a low. That's a low number, man. I know. I didn't feel good about this one. I had it as an under, just because that offensive line is not very good. The skill position talent around the quarterback is not very good. I did not feel great about that pick.
Okay. Over to you, Zach. You got 2 more.
I got 2 more here, and I'm going to go with over on the New York Jets. And this is one that people are surprised by. I get that.
9.5.
9.5 is the number. It's a really good defense. There's a major quarterback upgrade this year, presuming that Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. I like their weapons. I think they've improved on the offensive line. I thought Fashanu was a real good player, and now he's not even a starter for them, right? But you add in Tyron Smith. I think that I get the Hassan Reddick thing is looming here.
Yep.
But they have guys who can get to the quarterback, and I have confidence in that defense. It's also a bad division, relatively speaking. So I am going to – I shouldn't say bad division. There's a bad team. I think there's 2 wins up there against the Patriots. So I think the Jets can be a 10-win team.
I think there's a house of cards element with this team that I feel like just one thing goes wrong and it all goes down fast.
And I'm looking at the remaining ones, and I don't think there's anything I feel super strongly about, so I'm going to throw my challenge flag your way.
Okay.
It's just, it's a cursed franchise. I can't, they have the fewest wins of any team over the past decade. Is that right? I got to take the under on the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is going to be so distracted in November. He's going to have no time for football.
Because
well.
the Bucks are starting. I'm trying to think.
The Bucks.
The Milwaukee. He's a minority owner of the Milwaukee Bucks.
I actually did not know that.
Oh yeah. Actually, I got Ian O'Connor's book to read during the plane. So
I hope the brainworms aren't contagious.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but yeah, he's a darn good quarterback, and we'll see how he recovers from the Achilles.
Turns 41 in December.
Yeah, he sure does.
Yeah.
So I'm up again
You're
here,
up again?
and I've really been pounding the AFC North here this whole way through. I'll continue in this division. I'm going over on the Cleveland Browns, and I understand there's
they're missing their best player, and their quarterback stinks.
Yeah, Michael Dunn is starting the year on the NFI list. Looking forward to Michael Dunn returning. Deshaun Watson. I don't know if it's an upgrade over Joe Flacco last year, but this is a team that under Kevin Stefanski's consistently performed well. I really like their roster. I think Andrew Berry's done a good job. And I think overall, I like the Jerry Jeudy trade. I think this is like an underrated skill group of now. Of course, I would like this: Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, all like heralded college prospects coming out. But I like that. I think Jerome Ford showed some pop as a running. Their old line's consistently good. Now they lost Bill Callahan, who was important there. They bring in Ken Dorsey to be their offensive coordinator. But I love Jim Schwartz as a defensive coordinator, and I think this is a team that, like, by coaching and talent alone, can get to 9 wins.
The Dallas Cowboys, the over-under is 10.5, and the biggest disparity in the odds, according to Vegas, is the under on the Cowboys at 10.5. It's minus 200. And I'm going to zag. I don't love the vibes of the Cowboys, but I do think that the other two teams in the division are going to be bad. The offense is still going to be good. I don't think it's crazy at all that they win 11 games. So I'm going to take the over on the Dallas Cowboys.
I am regretting using my challenge on the Bucs because I would have thrown it here. I actually I feel decent that they're not going to hit double-digit wins.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a new scheme on defense. The depth is worse on both sides. The offensive line is significantly worse, at least unproven. You're starting 2 rookies up front, it looks like. The contract status there, it's just a lot hanging over this team I just don't feel good about.
Well,
the thing with Mike Zimmer, though, Fran, you know what they're going to do.
Sprinkle a little sugar. Blitz. I'm looking forward to those questions. Was it week 6, week 7?
We get it twice this year.
Yeah, right.
It's huge. Yeah.
What were we going to say, Zach?
Yeah, just from an Eagles perspective here, if you're bearish on the Cowboys, that's a good sign because now maybe you're bullish on Washington, and we'll get to them. But we already discussed the Giants. If you don't think the Cowboys are going to be particularly good, it's favorable for the Eagles to win the NFC East.
All right, so I'm going to
still on the board. The Panthers, the Bears, the Chargers, the Dolphins, and the Commanders.
I will stay in the East here, but I'm going to go to the AFC East. The Miami Dolphins at 9.5. I'm going to take the over here. They were 11-6 last year. Defense, I think you can probably expect them to stay kind of status quo from where they were a year ago. Obviously, they lose Christian Wilkins. Well, I think you have Anthony Weaver coming in, so people are excited there. I think you can expect them to be a little healthier next year than they were, or this year than they were a year ago. Getting some of those edge rushers back, I think, will help. To me, I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins in the over. Really, it's just a matter of, like, can Tua stay healthy? That people have kind of forgotten about that because he was healthy last year, but that was such a story for the years prior. So for me, that explosive offense, that should get them to double-digit wins.
Yeah, I don't want to bet against that offense. I mean, unless you've got Sean Desai on your side. But, yeah, I think that's a reasonable bet. Yeah,
Devon A. Chain's going to be off the chain this year. Watch out for him.
That's a no sell. No sell for me. I would have taken the Dallas under. I would have taken the Dallas under here.
Vibes aren't good enough for you there.
You should have turned your hat backwards for that one.
How do you do, fellow kids? Yeah. For me, I'm going to go to the Chicago Bears at 8.5. I was actually shocked that they won 7 games last year. Just thinking back to it, obviously they had the number 1 pick, but that was via trade with the Carolina Panthers. But they have a last place schedule going up with an improved offense. Caleb Williams looks the part right now. I'll take over 8.5.
That's much more fun than the Dallas one.
To me, I don't feel great about it, because it's the Bears. But I mean, this offense looks explosive. I think the defense will do enough. It's a tough division for sure, but I'll go over 8.5 there for Chicago.
30-second Hard Knocks thoughts from either of you?
I think this has been like the most boring. It's been brutal. Yeah. I think maybe it's because I loved the one in the summer so much, the Giants one, but there's just no juice from this Bears version.
Any thoughts on Caleb from it?
He's come across okay. Yeah.
I think he's Hard Knocks. Yeah. But I'm excited to watch him play.
He looks awesome.
I'm probably more excited to watch him play than anybody else. Around the league this season so far. Well, I mean, I feel like I've only the teams available: the Carolina Panthers 5.5, the Chargers 8.5, and the Commanders 6.5. I feel like just for the bit of it, I got to take your boy from you. Who's got it better than me?
Nobody.
So the Los Angeles Chargers at 8.5. I'm taking the over on Jimmy Harbs and Justin Herbert. I think their defense, the personnel is not super great, but I think a coaching upgrade in a big way, schematically. And I know that they're cursed as well, but I think maybe Justin Herbert having to carry a little bit less of the load, and Harbaugh, like the weirdness of him not wearing thin just yet. I'm going to buy in on Harbaugh year 1. over 8.5.
Okay. Yeah. Now, are you confident Herbert's going to be healthy?
Yes.
Yeah, I had the over there.
Yeah.
I had the over. I did not feel good about it. I just the roster, I think, is in pretty dire straits, and so that's what I struggled with having them higher on my list for that reason.
Yeah, I love the head coach.
Yep.
That's what jumps out to me.
What's your favorite Jim Harbaugh line? Like one liner outside of the obvious, but like in terms of just like a weird anecdote from Jim Harbaugh.
The weird anecdote is when he was on recruiting trips and he would sleep over the players' houses like that. That to me,
with the sleeping bag,
that would be a disqualifier to me. I would be like, look, I love Ann Arbor. I've dreamed about playing at the University of Michigan. I think you'll develop me into a good player, but why are you sleeping at my house tonight? Can you get a hotel?
No wonder you can't wear those pink flamingo boxers. You got a Harbaugh over.
It's like, you get a hotel, please. Yeah. So. That to me is that's
my favorite story. Is I think it's like he had come back. He was like he was early on in the pros. Comes back to visit at Michigan, and they're like on the quad or whatever. He's like having a drink, and then like these girls ask if he'll like throw some passes with them, and it's like. They think it's like this nice, like sort of flirty thing, like he has them like running routes, and he's just like hammering the ball and like breaking their fingers, like just throwing the ball as hard as he can, like cannot turn it off.
That's part of what makes him great.
Right. For me, his stance on chicken is outstanding.
Which I think has changed, right?
Yes, I think so. But just those initial quotes about it just being a fidgety bird?
Yeah, fidgety bird.
Yeah, right.
But now he harvests chickens.
Yes,
and, he's a big chicken guy. All right, Zach, you get to close us out before we find out which is going to be Julia's team.
Yeah, I'm really upset.
The Panthers 5.5 and the Commanders 6.5.
Yeah, I don't like this. These are two that I was specifically staying away from, and because what worries me about both these teams is this: their front office showed you during the past few weeks what they think of their roster, right? Like Washington and Carolina's had a lot of churn here. I liked Bryce Young a lot coming out. I think Washington, look, when you made fun of me about the coaching staff thing, I think it's a sneaky good coaching staff. I think that so I'm going back and forth here. It's 6.5 for Washington. Carolina is 5.5. You know what? I guess I'll go Washington winning 7 games this year.
Wow.
I don't love it, but I just we were talking about it with Sheil yesterday. Like Carolina, they lost their best player. Now they kept Derek Brown. But I don't know who's rushing the quarterback. I do think that I like Deontay Johnson. I think Bryce Young's gonna have a little bounce back year, and that division's worse. But I guess I'll go with Jaden Daniels, and I think Washington's defense has some players.
You excited for the Jaden Daniels experience, Fran?
I am. Let me ask you this, because I've been thinking about this for the last couple of months. You guys read that story about the virtual reality stuff that they did at LSU last year?
Yes,
sure you read
it.
it,
Yeah,
right?
Of course I did. Yeah.
So
Alec Lewis wrote it. Good job.
It was a really good story. Did you say it? It was basically like LSU last year. They instituted this VR technology, and he was like very installed with this and used it all the time, and it got him ahead of the 8 ball for every single game last year. And even coaching staff this year in Washington's like, he has a great bead on defenses and rolling coverage and manipulation. Like he's well ahead of the game for rookie quarterbacks. I wonder, do you think that's good for his future development, or do you think that that's something where it's like a crutch that he leaned on that is actually going to hurt him moving forward? I'm very fascinated by it, because to me, if he comes in and he does what C.J. Stroud did last year, it's going to be hand over fist. Every team is going to be shelling out money for this VR stuff. But to me, that's an interesting storyline.
Well, I can tell you that I just to predict. I mean, Zach's all in on it. It's technology.
Of course.
He loves the idea.
Well, yeah, but when you're playing, you don't have the aid of technology, right? So it's like using spell check. It's good, but if you're in a spelling bee, you probably don't want to keep using spell check, right? Because you have to know how to spell the words on your own.
But it's more about like putting him through the motions of it.
Yes,
it's preparation.
It's good. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I
mental
think,
reps to the.
I think you should always lean into technology for sure.
Always.
Just blanket without unquestioning. You should always lean into technology.
Well, or typically, yeah. I think technology is. I think the advent of technology, I think technology makes things easier, better. Yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way: what's pick a number between. Did
you put all your money in Bitcoin?
No, I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why not? That was the new technology.
Well, actually, that's not a technology thing. That's a currency thing. It's a little different there. But pick a number between, let's say, 5,000 and 10,000.
5,001.
Okay, pick a number between 6,000 and 8,000.
7,000.
Okay, what's 5,001 times 7,000? You should actually know that, but.
Okay, because I'm not a computer, and then I need to rely on technology.
Technology just made that
I'm
easy.
not saying all technology is bad, but to say just blanketly you should always lean into technology. I mean,
so you're anti-technology? Is that your stance here? Well,
I'm discerning like I am with everything else.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying like if it's not like the Office episode where
I was literally just going to bring that up.
If they're telling you to turn right and there's a body of water there, don't turn right in the body of water. Yeah, like use your but yeah, I mean, I would say use a map or like use a GPS as opposed to a map because I think that would be more advantageous. So I'm not saying lean all the way in, but lean toward it. Yeah.
Okay.
I opened a can of worms. I wasn't expecting on that one.
All right.
I'm excited to watch Jaden Daniels this year.
One more review of the rosters before we get going. Zach has the Chiefs over, the Steelers under, the Giants under, the Bengals over, the Titans under, the Cardinals over, the Jags over, the Jets over, the Browns over, the Commanders over, and through his challenges on the Ravens over and the Colts under. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 overs to 4 unders. I have the Packers over, the Seahawks over, the Niners under, the Ravens under, the Texans over, the Saints under, the Bucks over, the Patriots over, the Cowboys over, the Chargers over. Too many overs for me. And the Falcons under and the Jets under. Fran has the Vikings over, the Lions over, the Bills over, the Raiders under, the Falcons over, the Colts over, the Rams over, the Broncos over, the Dolphins over, the Bears over. You went almost all overs, and then your flags were on the Steelers and Bucks overs. Fran, you only had 1 under.
Well, I'm positive by nature. I feel like I'm optimistic by nature.
We got to beat this out of you.
No, I had a lot more overs when I first went through. I told you I had that first round of three. I was like, oh man, there's too many overs here, so I had to whack some of them. But no, I feel good about some of these overs.
Optimistic.
Yeah,
that's good. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. What a trip around these. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Julia.
Oh, Julia's team.
The Panthers.
Julia's Panthers.
5.5. You have to go on the record.
2-win team last year.
Over or under the Panthers 5.5 wins.
The math of this all breaks my brain. I fully don't understand, but I feel like I want to be optimistic. I'm going to go over.
Panthers over.
I thought about going Panthers over on my list.
Julia's Panthers. She loves Derek Brown.
Bryce Young from Philly.
Sure.
Loosely, yeah.
And what did they play? Like 4 corners the other day?
Yes.
Wild. Good for them. And Dave Canales. Uh-oh. Julia. Uh-oh. Don't let Canales get a hold of this episode. When he comes to Philly, it's going to be trouble. Okay. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. We are back tomorrow at 2. Dane is going to join us. He's been off gallivanting, and now he's like speed run all the Eagles content over the past week. We're going to find out what he thinks. Maybe he'll do a little schedule talk as well as we prepare. Tomorrow, we're 1 week away from the first game of the season against the Green Bay Packers, and we'll have you covered here on PHLY for all you need to know. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.